Hey, Tanya.
Hi, good morning.
How are you?
I'm good, and you?
I'm good. I just realized I'm a whole lot of polka dots. Let me change this. Let's see, what background will I do? Oh, how's your Friday so far?
Good. It's going well so far. What about you?
It's been a little wackadoo, but it's all good.
It's Friday. Yay.
Oh, I'm very happy it's Friday. Very happy. Thank you so much for your support here today.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I realized, I was like, oh, I might actually need some help. I'm so used to just doing them all. I was like, oh, I have help. I can pull in help. This is fun.
So I can officially make you the host now.
Okay, great.
And we are recording the meeting as well.
Perfect.
I think you still have the option to record it on your computer. You might want to try that, but I think
okay. It looks like it's recording. Yeah, it shows like it's recording.
Yeah. So here you go. Now you're official.
Thank you.
Host.
And I'm gonna go off camera for 1 second. I'm just gonna change. We got a lot of people signed up, which is great. I'm excited. Oh, good. Okay, so we have people in the waiting room, and so we can just admit them. Great, and I'll just admit all. Hi, everyone. Morning.
Hi, Jamie.
Hi, Gita. Good to see you.
Good to see you as always.
Tanya, once we get going, if you could admit people, that would be great. I'll do it for now, but once we get going, feel free to just admit whomever. You still have the option, or do I need to make you co-host?
Yeah, go ahead and make me the.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize you weren't co-host. Okay, I'm gonna make you co-host, and that way you can. And if folks are having issues with being unmuted, whatever.
Okay, thanks.
Great. We will share the power. Good to see folks here. We're just gonna wait a minute and let everyone roll in on this Friday morning. Good to see you, Carrie. I feel like I haven't seen your face in forever.
I know, it's so good to see faces.
I know, right? I'm like, oh, familiar faces. I love it.
I know, I was like, okay, well, if I need to take my screen off, but I do, yeah.
No worries.
I still have, but no, it is nice to see faces.
Good.
Like, oh, good, you look great.
Hanging in.
Yeah.
And pandemic fine, as I like to say. Turns out I get to work from home and I love to work from home, which pre-pandemic I had said, I never want to not work in an office. I'll be lonely, but I'm not lonely.
Yeah, it's always that load of laundry that's haunting me that
Literally.
when I'm at home. So I choose to work because, The fairies
Yes.
don't do it when I'm here, but I'm like, oh,
No.
my vacuum
That's-
cleaner is staring at me right now. And I'm like, I know. You
That's
need
what
to
I
be-
do on my breaks. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna sit for 10 minutes and fold some laundry or unload the dishwasher, or it actually gets me up out of my seat at least.
Good.
Good to see everyone. We're gonna wait, especially for our Council on Homelessness committee members. We'll need them here. And Tanya, I'm gonna go check the list you had sent me. In fact, Tanya, do you mind sending me over the most up-to-date registration list?
Sure.
Okay, I just want to make totally sure our committee members actually registered. This group has morphed now into an official committee of the Council on Homelessness, which is great. And we need to make sure we have those folks here, because we want to get all your input, and then those group of people are actually going to be able to move some stuff forward. We're going to get started in just a minute. Everyone has a few minutes to get water or coffee or bathroom or chocolate, which is my drug of choice in the morning. Yay, Joe Bruno's here. And Juno, yay, we've got 2 council members. Perfect. Thank you, Tanya.
Hello.
Hi there. Is that you, Juno?
Yes. Make
Hey,
sure you
good
can hear
morning.
me okay. Good
Yep,
morning.
we're good. We're good. We're good. Okay, let me just double check and see. Thank you, Tanya. It's taking a minute to come through. I am just making sure we're going to have who we need from the council. I think we're waiting for one more to make quorum. But I don't think it's going to be the end of the world if we don't have. Tanya, it's not coming through. Do you mind just seeing if Leslie and Lindy RSVP'd for it? And if not, then we'll just get rolling. And Tanya, while you're looking for that, we can get started with introductions. So I am Jamie Jeanette. I'm staff to everything, Council on Homelessness, our homeless continuum of care, and I'm going to be the primary staff person helping support all of this great work for Homeless Awareness Month. So what I would love to do is have folks just introduce themselves, name, and sort of like, you know, whatever affiliation you want to use, whether it's a community, an agency, however you want to identify yourself, and maybe one quick thing about what brings you here today. So I'm going to start with one person, and then I'm going to ask you to just popcorn to somebody else. So I see Carrie in my top left corner. Carrie, will you introduce yourself?
Good morning, Carrie Gregg from the Bay Church, and we have an outreach to the homeless with via a shower trailer. So we're very interested in serving our community that way.
And will you just pick somebody else to introduce themselves?
Oh, okay. Renee.
That's me. I'm Renee, or Juno. The Zoom likes to decide randomly which one it likes to show. So today I'm Renee, and my pronouns are she, her, or they, them. I am a part of the Youth Action Council and the COC as the youth representative. And yeah, happy to see everybody.
Thank you, Juno, for reminding me. Pronouns would be great. I'm also going to change my description, so you can change your description in Zoom, and also please do pronouns once you introduce yourself. And Juno, will you pick somebody else to introduce themselves?
Oh, sure. How about Wayne Earl?
Thank you. Hello, my name is Wayne Earl. I'm here on behalf of the Bay Area Rescue Mission. Let's see, on top of that, I'm a pastor at a local church, Rock Harbor Christian Fellowship in San Pablo, California, and I am formerly homeless myself. So I'm here because working with homeless populations and serving them is my life's work. So thank you.
Thank you, Wayne. Pick someone else, please.
Let's see, Irma.
Good morning, Irma Bawden, Resident Empowerment Team Leader with Hope Solutions. I'm here to learn and just eat up whatever everybody has to say. I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Thanks, Irma. Will you pick someone else to introduce themselves? Can you see everybody's names?
Angelica?
Hi, good morning. My name is Angelica. I'm here on behalf of Catholic Charities. I just recently joined the Catholic Charities team, so I'm just here to learn and meet everyone that's helping our community. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I'll pick Jacqueline.
Hi, my name is Jacqueline Lopez Padilla, and I am I'm here with the Community Service Bureau with the Head Start and Early Head Start program, and just to learn as well, and serving our homeless families.
Thank you. Will you pick somebody else?
And yes, sorry, and I will pick Tanya.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Tanya. I work at Home Base. I'm helping Jamie to facilitate the meeting today. Thank you. Next one, Leslie. I think she just got in.
Hi, Leslie. We're just doing intros. Just name, agency affiliation, and what brings you here today. You're muted.
I got that out of the way early today. It always happens at least once a day. So is it my turn? Good, cool. So I'm Leslie Gleason. I'm with Trinity Center. I've been here about 1.5 years now. Before that, I was at Shelter Inc. And my interest is I've been part of these and watching these for several years now. So figured I would want to keep being part of it. And also we got a lot of cool stuff, I think, as a system to talk about that I want to make sure we're sharing with the public. So.
Awesome. And Leslie, we're doing popcorn. If you can just pick, actually, you don't know who has already gone. So let me pick the next person for you. And then Joe, why don't you go and then you can pick somebody else.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. Joe Bruno here. I am currently the consumer seat on the council. I'm the founder of Delta Peers, representing very specifically District 1 of Antioch, that's East County. And we are a peer support movement. So everywhere I go, I'm always pitching peer support and how the lived experience needs to be brought to every single table as many times as possible. So peer support, that's what I'm all about.
Love it.
And then I think, I don't know, I'm looking, let's do, oh, there's Steve.
Hi, everybody. I'm Steve from White Pony Express. So I'm here because we also work with our unsheltered neighbors, and we have a cold weather clothing program. And we also work with the Oasis Shower, who actually give showers on a regular basis to the homeless.
Thanks, Steve. Will you pick someone else to introduce themselves?
Wait, before he does that, can I just give a huge shout out to White Pony Express? Love you guys. And today we have someone starting a job and he's going to get, appropriate clothing through our partnership with you. And every single thing like that matters so much. So big props to you all.
Well, we're happy to be a partnership with you too as well. It's a great partnership. Thanks so much, Leslie.
Love it. Oh,
First
Steve.
would be Leah Murray.
Thank you. Hi. Good morning, everybody. Leah Murray with Collaborizing, based in Richmond. And good to be here again for part 2. I don't know if Renee has gone.
She has. People that have not gone include Irene, Gita, Betty, Kiva.
All right, Betty. How are you, Betty?
Okay, hi, I'm Betty Blackmore G, and I've worked with iPass Resources, and we're working with the unhoused and homeless in in Contra Costa County, and working with Joe, the pathway to permanency, to permanent housing. So that's our goal. Oh,
Awesome.
Let's see, who is the next one hasn't gone?
Think Gita, Kiva, and Irene. Irene?
Oh.
Sorry, I was just repronouncing it.
Okay. Oh, you say Irene? Irene.
Hey, I can go. My given name is Irene Graham. I go by IG, so please call me IG. And I am a public health nurse program manager with the Community Connect program. I'm brand new there, and I've been trying to actually got on mailing lists for a lot of the homeless interested groups and meetings. So yeah, it's my first time, and I'm just an interested party because there's a lot of clients in our program that are currently homeless. So thank you.
Awesome. Welcome, IG. And will you pick a next person? I think there's 2 folks left.
Yeah, Gita?
Hello, everybody. Thank you. My name is Gita Baramipur, and I'm with Alcohol and Other Drugs Advisory Board. I'm liaison for them, so I take all the knowledge that I learned from you guys and take it to them, share with Alcohol and Other Drugs. Also, I'm on the board with Crisis Center, the 211. Thank you. Oh, my purpose here is to learn from Jamie. Thank you. And help, if I can.
Glad to have you here. And I think, Kiva, you're our last one. Oh, and we'll have Connor after you.
Hi, my name is Kiva Dean, county employee with the Welfare Department for 25 years. I also work with Contra Costa Solano County Food Bank. I do a lot of volunteering around the community, but I'm here just as a private citizen to get more information, just to pass it around. And I've been participating with the last couple of meetings, and I wanted to make sure that I stay present and visible because I want to serve our community in the best way that I know how.
Love it. Glad you're here.
Thank you.
And Connor, you just joined us. We're just doing intros with the name, sort of what our affiliation is, whether it's an agency, a community, and what's bringing you here today.
Yep. Hi everyone. My name is Connor. I'm the Vista member for Hope Solutions at the moment, so I'm doing my service here with that organization, and I'm just here just to find out more about what happens like during this week. I think it's more just building up my knowledge of what you guys do.
Fantastic. And I see somebody else joining, so I'm going to give a minute. Great. So, oh, looks like Irma, a different Irma. Looks like Irma Bodden has logged in twice, but with a different picture. So whoever
That's Lori.
Okay, I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Lori, when you get your audio going, will you introduce yourself with your name, any affiliation you want to identify as, and what brings you here today? We'll let her get her feet under her.
That was Nina.
Oh, Nina, got it. Okay, let me change that.
Sorry, I was trying to see why my name was Lori.
Oh, that was me.
Oh.
It came up initially as Irma, so you're Nina. Okay, got it.
Okay, I'm Nina Jorgensen from the East Bay area. I'm with the rep program and rep leaders, and just come here today to learn, and yeah.
Right on. Glad to have you here. Okay, folks, we have so many fun opportunities. So I want to share my screen. I have a kind of detailed agenda. And what I thought we could do today is start to identify the different things people are interested in. And I think we'll probably need to end up doing kind of work groups or subgroups for some of this stuff, because you could dive pretty deep on each of these things. Let me share. Where do I even want to start? Okay, hold on. Let me start with my agenda. Oh, hey, Lene. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi everyone. My name's Lene with Healthcare for the Homeless.
Glad to have you here.
Thanks.
So for those of you that weren't here last meeting, I want to just do a quick snapshot of sort of the landscape of what we talked about, and then we can kind of dig into the nitty gritty. And the other thing I wanted to add is what we have this meeting that we didn't have last time is this group now, there's an official Homeless Awareness Month committee on the Council on Homelessness. And what that means is what we're deciding here, if there are pieces that the Council on Homelessness needs to make official decisions about or whatever, we now have a formal connection. So there's going to be some stuff that the council will need to rubber stamp and some that they won't, but this just gives this group a little more weight. So just a snapshot of what we discussed last time. And can folks all see my shared screen? Okay, good. So in years past, we've done a bunch of different things. And in the first meeting that we had a couple weeks ago, the group started to drill down on what we might want to do again this year. And just to take a step back, like the big picture idea about Homeless Awareness Month, first of all, it's in November, so we'll start with that. It initially started out as Hunger and Homeless Awareness Week. That was kind of an event and a thing for colleges to focus on, and it's kind of taken on a life of its own. So here in Contra Costa, we actually take the whole month and we use this as a month to be like, hey, everybody, listen up. We have a lot of things to say about a lot of things, and we figured out a bunch of different channels for that. So I'll just go through step by step really briefly, and then we can talk more about each of these. So this is an opportunity for community members and the council to get in front of decision makers. So like the Board of Supervisors, for example, one of the things that we've done every year is done sort of a presentation in front of the Board of Supervisors. And I'll talk more about that in a minute, but one of the things that we've done there is use that as a chance to highlight great work that's happening in our community. So in years past, we've done awards. And so there have been awards for outstanding landlord, outstanding volunteer, innovative project. So like if there's a new project or a program related to homeless services that comes up, it's an opportunity to spotlight that. Jurisdiction. So that usually means like there are some cities, for example, or other kinds of jurisdictions that are really stepping forward and doing some innovative stuff. So it's an opportunity to recognize them. Last year, we did also hotels. So that was sort of specifically related to like Project Room Key. And, we had to like launch this whole program to move people into hotels. I don't know that that would make sense to do this year, but just so you know what we've done in the past. And then in different years, and this is probably a decision that the council will want to make, they've gone back and forth between, do we just recognize everyone that got nominated, or do you want to pick one from each category? So just to flag, these are things to think about. The second thing we've done is a big toolkit, and I'll drop the link to it in the chat. But this is like a huge not huge, but it's a big document where we have different sections. So we highlight events that are happening in the community, we put resources, all of that. So we'll come back and look at that in a minute. We've also done, last year we did a short video. And so we can talk about that, and I'll play that for us in a minute, but we can, if we want to do another video, we'd probably have a subgroup to think just about that, what we want it to look like. And when I say short, I mean like under 3 minutes. So we have in November, we already have a placeholder for a community meeting. And so we could, and what we've done in the past is done like a panel discussion, and I'll show you what that agenda has looked like in the past. But this has been an opportunity, especially to have people with lived experience get to have the stage, tell their stories, and we provide a lot of support. We're not just like throwing people out to the wolves, right? But it's an opportunity to really talk about what folks with lived experience think is most important and what they want the community to know. As I said, presentation to the Board of Supervisors. And then one idea that came up this last meeting, we've done in years past and then stopped because of low attendance and started to talk about again was like so in years past, we've done like tours of the different facilities and sites where people are seeking homeless services. Because of COVID, I can just tell you, like, we do not want to have a bunch of strangers in our buildings. But we could talk about, like, is there a way to do virtual tours? Is there a, that might be an option. So I just wanted to flag that. And then I've just sort of mocked out some timeline stuff. But I just want to, and let me just pause. I forgot to just hold space for public comment. This is just because this is an official public meeting. If there's anything that anybody wants to comment on that is not listed on the agenda, this is your time to do that. We're going to have a lot more talking time later on all the details. But if there's anything not on the agenda that anybody wants to discuss, I'll create a little space for that right now. And I'll leave some awkward silence. Okay, hearing and seeing none, I don't see anything in the chat. So let me just share, I'll show you a few of these things before we start to dive in. Does that sound like an okay plan to show you some of them? Okay, so let me share. I'm trying to not share my whole screen because who knows what will come up. Okay, so let me share the video. Some of you, okay, we're gonna do this. So some of you may have seen this before. This is the short video that we did last year related to Homeless Awareness Month. And I'm gonna play it. If you can hear this once it starts, raise your hand. Let me make it bigger. All right, so that is an example of the kind of video that we could do. Oh, yay, Lindy's here too. That's just an example of the kind of video we could do. So I just want to show that to you guys, and then we can come back and look at it for sure and talk more. The other thing I wanted to flag, and I'm going to put this in the chat so that people can, if you want to go geek out and look at it yourself. There's a ton of stuff, but here's the table of contents just to show you the kind of things that it has in it. So we have a calendar of events. We solicit volunteer opportunities. No worries. Thanks, Lindy. Thanks for showing up. And then we have some advocacy opportunities. So we can look at that. We put some data in. We have some information about how to connect to services, just drop in service information, things about new housing resources, policy issues, and then agencies have donation wish lists that they put in here. So when we're really trying to capitalize on people are thinking about homelessness and they're motivated to help, we want to make sure they have some concrete ways to do that. And then COVID-19 related resources. So you can just kind of see, I mean, there's a ton of stuff in here, but just wanted folks to get a snapshot of what this looks like. Here's the data, for example. So, I think we should do this again, and we can have a subcommittee that's focused on thinking about what kinds of like sections we want, and then I as staff can also help really put the materials into the template and all that stuff. Let me just see if there's anything else. Oh, so the other thing I wanted to show, one more thing. And I know this is a lot. We're just going through it pretty quickly. So this, when I talked about this like panel conversation or panel meeting, so we did this last November. It was shared stories. So you can see we recognized, this is where we sort of presented the awards. And then we had a panel discussion. And so the way the group decided to do that last year was to sort of break it out by population. So we had somebody who is a transition aged youth that told their story. And the way we paired it last year was we had somebody with lived experience and then a provider talking about sort of their work serving that population. So we did that for, as you can see, for a bunch of different, different sort of subpopulations, and then had a Q&A section. So that's just an example of what we did last year. So I know I just threw a bunch of information at you. I just want to see if there's any thoughts or questions before we dive into a little more what the work might look like for next year. Okay. So what I'm going to share my screen again because I have it sort of broken out by what we might want to talk about. So, and I want to flag where we might need to bring things back to the council. So I think the first question is, in terms of awards, do folks have strong feelings? Do you want to make a decision right now, or recommendation? Really, I think the way this will work is a recommendation to the Council on Homelessness about the kinds of awards. And then I think their decision will also be to decide if they're going to recognize all nominees or just one from each category. And I think this group can make some recommendations about what you want to do with that. So I'll open this up for this category of awards. And I'll say we've typically, oh, in fact, am I sharing my screen? So you can see, I'm just going to share my whole screen. And if something weird pops up, it just does. So you can see these were the nominations that we got last year. So we got, 5 for hotel, 2 for volunteers, 5 landlords, 1 jurisdiction, and then a bunch of innovative projects. So you just have a sense of how many you might have to pick from if you were going to do picking one versus recognizing everyone.
I have a quick question. Who picks those people? Who picks the nominees?
Well, so that's a great question. So the way it works typically is we solicit all these nominations, and then we actually, if the council decides they want to pick only one, what we would do is almost like we do for like the nominating committee, where we would have a Homeless Awareness Month group review all those nominations and make a recommendation to the council about who they think should get the award. If we just solicit, if the council decides that they just want to recognize everybody, then that decision-making process doesn't really exist. We just make sure that they sort of, I as staff would get all those things and just make sure that they actually meet the whatever we've set up as the sort of basic criteria for the award or the recognition. Does that make sense? Yeah, ID.
Okay. So is there any way to put a category recognizing someone in the homeless community themselves somehow?
That's a great idea. Yeah, and so we would just need to talk about like what's the and I can show you descriptions. It's it's been like we definitely could do that. I think you just got to figure out what are you recognizing them for. So for example, like outstanding landlord, I'll just drop the language in the chat of like what's the like what they get recognized for. So it's that they've there's a typo in there, but that they've enriched the lives by providing housing opportunities. So it's like outstanding efforts can be demonstrated in a number of ways. We want it to be specific enough that like it's not just like I think you're a great person. We need to have some why there. But I think that's a great idea. I think this group should make some recommendations about what the why might be.
Hi, it's Leslie.
Yeah.
I really appreciate IG kicking it off that way because I feel the same way. Maybe an award, maybe not an award, but at least balancing, recognizing the people, the actual people, as much equally in balance with the providers and the supporters and the landlords. So, and that could be anonymous as well. That could be a way to bring awareness in an anonymous way, as well as call out certain individuals or groups of individuals as deserving of special recognition. So,
can you say more about the anonymous piece? Like the who would be nominating them would be anonymous?
No, I mean like I know that you're always asking for success stories, but really like bring all the success stories together in one place. Like here at Trinity Center, we've collected poems from our members, like sharing, recognizing that they're the other half of the equation, right? And the most important part of the equation.
So actually, Leslie, what I'm thinking of when you say that is there's probably a place in the toolkit where we could have a whole section that's really focused on consumer. So maybe it's not an award. Maybe it's something in the, this is a super interesting idea. So let me just make sure.
But I also think awards too, either for individuals or maybe groups of people who are really putting homelessness front and center and taking a lot of risks to do that. Like some of the people on the call today. So.
Yep.
I want to speak. I think Leslie brings up a good idea, and I like the idea of giving it to a homeless person. What about because some homeless people I know in Berkeley, like street teams with people who were formerly homeless, who are now sort of like turning their lives around. What about an award for the homeless people who have sort of like gotten help and turned their lives around as well?
Can I add that possibly?
I also want to I want to say that there's hands up as well. We have a few hands are up.
Do folks know how to use the hand up piece? Either raise your hand, or there's like a little icon at the bottom. Great. Joe, go ahead.
Kiva can go, and then I'll jump in after her.
Okay, Kiva, go ahead.
I apologize. I don't see the hand up. I would have put my hand up. But I would like to say that possibly those people those organizations, the hotel, the landlord that get the award, they would actually bring along with them to get an award, an adjacent award, a success story with them. So that way we're covering not just the organization that did the work, but we're also awarding someone within that organization that followed through with their parameters and was successful working with them.
Joe, then Geeta, then Wayne.
I was gonna, I don't know, a few conversations ago, but the journal, it popped up that we used to do with H3. Like, there's a lot of material in that journal that I feel like that journal can continue, but I don't know if that would be, because you mentioned the toolkit, and I think putting stuff in the cool toolkit would be really interesting too. But the other thought that I had was the folks who transitioned, like, to get that story from the transition of being in the hotel, going through the project room key into, you know, whatever the next step was, into like actual housing, like how that transition, because that was all brand new, to see how that, to recognize somebody who's gone through that transition successfully.
Great. And it sounds like you're thinking in terms of the award. I'm also thinking that could be like a video.
Yeah. Yep,
okay.
That's, yep.
Okay. Great. I think Geeta and then Wayne.
I would like to bring up, you mentioned why. Why gives me, let me know what's the purpose of helping somebody. But I think it's really important to know how also. So why and how, both of them are just as important. And another thing that I would like to bring up, that the youth, I think we should create awareness within the youth that we need to help one another, not keep asking. So I think youth would be a big part of this. I would like to see it in high schools or anywhere else.
Oh, so say more. When you said that, I was thinking about like young people that are in our programs. Tell me more what you mean when you talk about youth.
Well, the people that we're giving awards, right? Is the group of people like, are they going picking fruits from the tree and helping the food bank, for instance, or are they aware of collecting some clothes and give it away to some organizations? There's a lot of groups also that help the homelessness within the high school and other areas. Like in Christmas time, they wrap presents. I mean, I think they should be recognized, so the more people will do that.
Okay, great.
So I think and then the other part that you brought up.
And so I'm thinking like what you're describing, Geeta, that would probably, sorry, I'm just trying to clean off my, I'm thinking like what you're just describing, like that would fall under volunteers. And so that's great. And that's something to think about for this group is like, once we set these award categories, then you all also can go out and beat the bushes and find the nominees or even nominate folks for those awards.
Yes, that would be great. Thank you.
Wayne, go ahead.
Sort of two questions. One, are we agreeing to do all of these things, or is one of the purposes of today's discussion to determine how many of these we are doing, and what is the, where are we putting our efforts at? That's the first question.
I think it's the second. So I think right now we're brainstorming a bunch of stuff, and then we'll figure out some recommendations to make to the council about what they want to see for awards.
Okay, and the second question is, and I think it's related to the first, is who is our intended audience? The awards would be presented to someone very different than someone receiving, say, the toolkit.
Yep.
Just my personal opinion, presenting information to those that are homeless, to those that are on the verge of, hey, there's help, and this is what we can do. To me, that's the greatest value.
You ask a great question. So what I can tell you is, in years past, the ways we've thought about the toolkit is like for everyone and their mother. It's like a smorgasbord of things. It's for like the high school kid that's interested in homelessness and doesn't want to know what to do. It's for somebody that's experiencing homelessness that wants to know a little bit more about resources. Like, it's really broad. The idea behind the awards has typically been to be a way to recognize the hard work of, whoever those categories are. And we use the awards as a tool to amplify their work, and also to let, usually when we do our presentation to the Board of Supervisors, we have sometimes done it there, or we've done it at our community panel. So basically we're doing the recognition in a big public forum, and it's a way to sort of recognize the good work publicly of whatever the categories are. Does that help explain a little bit more?
It does, yes.
Okay, cool. But yes, I think your first question is what is our purpose today here? I think it's to help get ideas about what the award categories should be, and then we'll bring that decision, especially because the awards officially come on behalf of the Council on Homelessness. This is the one where the council needs to have the most input. So that's a great question. And I want to just pivot. We can come back to what these awards might be. So my other question is, what is your recommendation or people's thoughts around, and the council has debated this. We want to recognize everyone, or I've heard people say we really just want to pick one, so this is special and it means something. And there's totally different schools of thought around that. So I'm curious to hear people's thoughts. And this is the other thing I'll add is we generate a little certificate, and do, we can't do it in person right now, but in the past we've actually given people a piece of paper. So yeah, go ahead. Wayne, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you. I like the idea personally of just giving, recognizing everyone, because it speaks to the continuum of care itself in the community of providers that we are. Everyone, most of us have got unique places within this whole ecosystem. And to me, recognizing all that are nominated speaks to the diversity of what is offered.
Great. I see Carrie, I see your hand up.
Yeah, honestly, that was just what I was going to say too. I think what it does is, yeah, for our county-wide, because it's such a large county, to know that it's just not a pocket, like this one thing is happening in this, neck of the woods, but it's truly a broad approach to our efforts for each community. So yeah, I kind of agree with Wayne about celebrating all of that.
Joe? Oops.
In addition to all of that, I would even say maybe break it up a little bit in region so we can have multiple recognitions. So we're recognizing more people, but on a more personal level, I think. Break it into region, or even like a city if it came down to it. But that was my idea.
Okay. And one thing I can tell you, the Board of Supervisors is often very curious, and this would actually incentivize them to nominate people if we did awards by supervisorial district for these things. So, there's always this balance of we don't want to make it too complicated. If we have 6 different awards for 5 different districts, that can get to be a lot. But I do think that's a really interesting idea, Joe, especially as you said, I always say our county is physically the size of the state of Rhode Island. That's how big our county is. And so it's easy for different sections to get lost. So I think that's a really interesting idea. I can't see all the hands. Do other people have?
I'll speak. It's Leah.
Oh, hey, Leah.
I as soon as Joe spoke, that is exactly what I was going to say, that to do it by regions would be helpful, because perhaps we have some people that are more Central County and then you don't, you know, recognize the East. And so, and even taking it further, like you said, with the district. So I second Joe.
Great. Geeta.
You know, we all like to nominate. I mean, I have been reading some applications from AOD that they made a difference in people, and they're all wonderful, and we're so thankful for what they do for our community. But it's almost impossible that you can nominate everybody, and in front of the Board of Supervisors, you gotta give them a little bit of what they do. So it's almost impossible to have, like, depending on how many we get, but if you get 20, let's say youth, and you get 20 groups of like volunteers, and let's say it's just going to be too much. So we need to narrow down somehow by rating them as people will read the application and rate them to which one gets first and who gets second, who gets third, and so we need to some way to narrow down our search. Thank you.
And actually, when you were talking, Geeta, what that reminded me of is trying to figure out, there's the like actual words themselves, and then where do we present these? And one challenge we've run into is, to be honest, when we're presenting to the Board of Supervisors, we basically have like 7 minutes. And so in the past, we've tried to like do it there. That's a train wreck. One year we did like a in-person reception where we kind of like did the presentation of awards like in the little conference room, and that won't happen this year because of COVID. What we did last year was did the presentation of awards at the beginning of our panel discussion, which like we had a big audience for that conversation anyway. So as we were talking, I was also thinking about like, where do we present these? We really don't have time to do it at the board. But what we could do in terms of making sure the board knows that those are happening is we do a quarterly report every quarter from the council to the board. And so we could make sure that we include all that information in that report, so they're at least getting the information. But I do think that one of the other pieces to think about is like, where and how do we present these awards? And I'll say we don't have to solve that piece right now. I think right now what we need to go ahead.
We got an appointment on their agenda, and then we present it on Zoom.
Yeah. So typically what happens for Homeless Awareness Month is we ask to do a presentation on their agenda. Last year, we didn't really even get to do it because they had just moved to Zoom and they were like just handling business items. I think they're now at a point where they're allowing presentations. So as staff, what I can do is find out what the max amount of time we could get is. And actually, I'm going to jump to that just because we're talking about it. So for the presentation, that's typically like super tight, where the chair of the Council on Homelessness says a few words. We maybe present a little data on homelessness, and then there's usually somebody with lived experience that has about 5 minutes. We don't often have time to do a bunch more things. However, because it is an agenda item for the board, there often is opportunity for comments. So this is like where, even if it's only agendized for 7 minutes, like folks could actually make comments, like people in this group, if there were things that you wanted to amplify. But in terms of like the actual amount of time we get, it's usually very tight, and not enough time to do a whole awards presentation, especially if we're looking at recognizing 30 entities. So just the logistics, like the reality of the logistics of that piece. Do I see hands up, Joe?
Yeah, I was gonna say, we're living in the world of like, we're living in COVID times. So we could have 100, 200 nominees and awards, and it just be on a piece of paper, because it's all through social media anyways. Or not social media, but through like, or like whatever that looks like. So whatever those names are, they can be, there can be hundreds of people on that list who are getting recognized, and not have it be like a presentation type of thing.
Sure. And this is definitely, we can come back and have another conversation about how we would amplify all this stuff. I think there's a bunch of ideas. just so I'm clear with this group, what I'm hoping to do today is to like, if there are some decisions that the council need, so the Council on Homelessness has a meeting on next Thursday. I'm posting materials for that meeting today. So where we have to make some decisions, or recommendations, I'm hoping we can do that today. The how we amplify stuff, that we can come back to. The other thing I wanted to do, so while we're talking about this, I want to get names of people who are interested in, for each of these buckets, awards, the toolkit, video, panel discussion. I want to get names of people so that we can work offline and bring stuff back to this group, because we won't be able to manage all of this all together. So I'll take that opportunity right now. Are there people that feel strongly they want to think about, talk about, work on the awards? So Joe, are you raising your hand for that?
I already know that I want to be part of the subcommittee for the toolkit about creating the toolkit thing.
Okay.
And the panel discussion. I'm also pretty interested in that as well.
Okay.
And the awards.
Fine, if not, there's going to be plenty. But
I'm like, if I'm needed there, I can go there.
Okay. But you said toolkit. What was the other one you said?
Panel discussion.
Panel. Okay, great.
Oh yeah, and the video too. But again, I might just jump in just because for interest factors. But thanks.
Let me think how much time we have. So we are going today until 10:30. Is that right? Or do we have until 11? Let me just check.
11:30.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you. So I'm going to, we have about 40 minutes left. So let's focus real quickly. So recommendations. So we have, I want to make sure we're all on the same page about what awards we want to recommend to go to the council. So I heard something, I heard that we want to do something about consumers. And you know what I'm going to do is stop sharing so that I can see. So I would love to get people's feedback either with the little thumbs up icon, a physical thumbs up, or something in the chat, just for each of these to make sure we're kind of all on the same page. So in terms of landlord, oops, crud, hold on. So landlord, award for outstanding landlord. And typically that's been like somebody who has been a good partner and is renting units to people experiencing homelessness. Let me just pause for a minute. Do people feel like they're ready to take a vote on some of these? Is there anybody that doesn't feel like they're ready to take a vote on different categories?
I had a quick question.
Yeah.
If that's okay.
Yes.
And I apologize if I missed this earlier and this was already discussed. Can we also have a section that is like people from the community, the homeless community, recognizing people, like they're nominating people themselves? Like it's something where they recognize that that person has really helped them, or that group or organization.
Yes, absolutely. So what you're talking about, I think, is like, who are the nominators? That could be anybody in this community. Anybody can nominate anybody for any of these categories. I think what we're drilling down on right now is like, what are the actual categories that are being recognized or awarded? So I want to nail that part down, because these official awards are going to be coming from the council. So we just want to make sure that they are approving, they're on the same page as this group about what categories they're recognizing. Does that make sense? Other questions or conversation before we take a temperature check on these? Geeta, you have a question?
Are we going to have the volunteers and non-volunteers? We're going to have all of those?
Well, so this is my question. I kind of want to take a temp check for each of these real quickly to see if folks want to keep these old categories that we had. And then I really heard this new one of like consumer. And so the work group will figure out what the language is. And consumers, I know that's a whole nother thing, is this language of consumer. So we'll say people with lived experience.
Well, and in that category, that could be the peer-to-peer. because if it's the unhoused population or nominating another unhoused person that they're in the community, that's a peer-to-peer award that we don't have. That's kind of cool.
And those, yeah. So what I see, I'm going to make a recommendation that we take out hotels because we don't have any new hotels from last year. And that was like a very specific to COVID, and it's not as relevant this year. Are folks cool with that? Okay, I'm seeing generally yes. Okay. I think what I actually want to do is, if you're a no, speak up. So landlord. So this is like for an outstanding landlord. And we have language that I can show the group. Does anybody say no on the landlord? Hearing nothing. We're going to go forward with the landlord. Okay, volunteer. And so this is, an outstanding volunteer, and it's basically somebody who is supporting people experiencing homelessness, not in a paid capacity. So it's not like so-and-so is a great staffer at X, Y, and Z agency. If they're doing work on their off time, they could get recognized for that, but not for paid work. Is there anybody that has questions about that or says no to that? Leslie, I see your hand.
Yes, on this one, I just want us to, if we go with this, which I think we should, it could be an individual or maybe, a small grouping of volunteers.
Yes,
And,
exactly.
And similarly, going back to the landlord.
Yep.
Last year we included this. I think this is important, that it could be a property manager as well. So.
Yes. Yes. Basically, people that are facilitating folks getting into and staying into housing. Yep. Yes, Joe.
The volunteer thing raised something. Most volunteers are faith-based. I wonder if there's like a church recognition. I wonder if there's a volunteer, a church that is volunteering so much that they can be recognized. I don't know.
Oh, totally. So this volunteer stuff could be, it has been congregations, individuals, groups, like SOS Richmond, for example. Like they could be, I guess they're now getting some pay actually, so that's different, but like it could be, it could be broad, and we could write that description broad enough that it could include churches, and has. So innovative project. So this in years past has been, oh, sorry, let me just go back. Volunteer. Anybody is like, heck no, no volunteers. Okay. So innovative project, this is like if there's a new project or program. So I'm thinking of like, Carrie, you mentioned, or somebody mentioned like Oasis, like, if there's like a new shower program or a new feeding program or a new something. Yeah, Rich, go ahead. Oh, you're muted. Okay,
I didn't mean to cut you off in the middle of the stream there. I was going to patiently wait, but
you're good.
So I wanted to ask about new programs that came in and their number of clients that they're helping, home unsheltered people they're helping as little as 3, for instance.
Yep.
And so, okay.
So yeah, I think innovative project or program is basically anything that's new within the last year is the way that it's typically been framed. And the nominee, whoever's nominating, part of what we're asking is like, what's the impact? And so it could be like, they've been able to help 3 people. For some people, that's like, they're like, oh, that's not very many. But for other folks, that's like 3 people that got helped. That's great. And they can get recognition for that. So the innovative project, typically the description, and again, subgroup can drill down on this, but it's essentially a new project or program in the last year that folks find innovative, that somehow is addressing homelessness.
How do we get those groups to you? How do we?
So that's a whole separate piece that we'll talk about, is like how do we spread the word about these awards and soliciting nominations? So it's a great question. We're not going to solve that one today, but we will. That is definitely something that we'll talk about. Good question. Okay. Anybody is like a heck no on innovative project? Okay. So jurisdiction, this has gone typically to a city, usually that has done, and actually I think 1 year Public Works got recognized. So but basically a jurisdiction that is definitively, stepping up and being more active, involved, engaged around homelessness. So I think in years past, it's been like Walnut Creek, like cities that funded a core team, or cities like Antioch, for example, like they now have a staff person that's funded specifically to look at homelessness. So those are the kinds of things that typically have been flagged as, a jurisdiction that's taking a proactive stance in addressing homelessness. Anybody feel like heck no? Oh, Rich, do you have your hand up still, or is that from before?
Yeah, no, I want to vote. I want to just say that CORE in West County, they have a new team that are breaking all of their CORE records at placing unsheltered people into programs. And
awesome.
So we got to figure out how we can really celebrate that.
Yeah. So you're bringing up something really interesting, which is like what we haven't done typically is recognize existing programs that are just operating for pay. So let's go through these and then we can talk about possibly some new ones. So jurisdiction, anybody feel like heck no?
I'll say it's not my
favorite one.
Okay,
yeah. I'm sorry.
Oops. Go for it.
I'll
Say
go.
more.
I agree. Whoever said that's not a strong one for me. If we have too many, I could get rid of that one.
Okay.
I agree. I just think that recognizing the entities within the areas is more important than like the area itself because of like one position or I don't know, money that they have.
Yep.
As well.
Okay. And this is something we'll put to the council.
And I will say, and with the idea of doing, we were talking earlier about having the district supervisors. If we're going to be noticing people in a regional, we don't need to necessarily go that direct and have two different jurisdiction and regional.
Yes. So
yeah, it's hard to compare different places.
Go ahead. Yeah. So one thing I'll just flag, and part of why this initially came up in the very beginning when we were looking at different awards is part of the point of the awards is to incentivize entities to do good work and to want to be recognized. So if we, just as we're thinking about that, like if there are cities that we want to see do a better job on homelessness, this is one of the possible ways that could be sort of a carrot for them. How much weight it has and if it's really worth it. And, if this group feels really strongly about it, like, we can definitely make the recommendation on, convey to the council that this is a iffy one. Kiva, do you have your hand up? Or is that from before? She took it down. Okay.
No, I did. I'm sorry. What I was going to say was that jurisdictional piece, what we can do is if it's we can give an award if it's an extraordinary project or an extraordinary achievement. It doesn't have to be just simply in general. We could leave that so that it doesn't expand this award system so greatly. We can leave it so that if there's something extraordinary or something that was done out of the box, something in left field and really, really work, then we could leave it for that.
Okay. And that also could be something where we're crafting the nomination form in a way that it makes it really clear. It's not just like, oh, you're not kicking people out of encampments, go you. It's like, we want them to be doing something specific.
Also, I would like to say that earlier when I just used hotels as an example of bringing the success stories together. It was all of the organizations. So if a church had a church got the volunteer award, they could bring a success story along with them.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. And so
just want to be clear.
Yep. So, and so that's something we can actually put in the nomination form. Let me just think for 1 second. So, you could have nominees submit success stories too. Great. So I heard anything else about jurisdictions? I hear people are on the fence, so we can put that up as a question for the council to think about. People with lived experience. So I heard that pretty clearly, that folks want to figure out an award related to that, and we'll figure out what the wording is later. Are there any other ones that I missed? It looks like kind of the rest of these are ideas about kind of how else we could, you know, like youth, for example, would fit, you know, under possibly volunteers or people with lived experience. Is there any other thought about categories of awards? I'm seeing frowny faces. Okay.
Yeah.
And so in terms of recognizing all nominees or just one from each category, I heard a couple, so let's do it this way. Let's propose that we would recognize everybody, not just have one specific award for each category. Is there anybody that feels really strongly that it should not be like that? So anybody that has big feelings about recognizing all the nominees? And it's totally fine. I just want to document that and figure out if we want to do anything with that. Okay. I can't hear you, Jill. Are you talking to us?
I was.
Okay.
I was, but I was just saying, I don't mind recognizing everybody where I'm at. Yeah.
Okay. And we'll make that recommendation to the council, and then they'll make the final decision about it. Okay. So recommendation. Okay. So that's going to be the final recommendation. Okay, great. Okay, and we'll get to the where to present them and all that stuff later. I'm just looking to see if there's any other decisions that we're going to need the council to make. I mean, the awards is really the biggest one where we needed to have clear stuff for the council. Okay, we have about 25 minutes left. Andrea is here. Oh, Leslie, you're unmuted. Do you have okay, so we've talked about the awards. Oh, so let's take a minute. And is there anybody else that for sure wants to work on crafting the award language?
Hand raised.
Oh.
Jamie, yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
It's Leah again. Sorry. I do have a question as far as with the awards, is it some type of monetary award or a gift card or gift certificate, especially for those that are unhoused?
That's a really good question. So typically it's just been like a paper certificate. This question of, I mean, you're actually hitting on something that we've been talking about sort of more broadly about like providing compensation for people with lived experience as they're engaging in stuff. I can check and see if there's any, let me just see, question.
Yeah, I mean, because I think that's very beneficial. Certainly when I'm out and about, I try to engage people and I'll give a gift card, or that's incentives help. And especially for someone that has a financial need. Yeah.
Right. Okay. We can find out. Good question. Okay. Anybody else want to work on the awards piece with Joe?
This is Leah again. I will.
Okay. Leah, Joe, anybody else? Baskets be a great gift. Okay. Got Leah and Joe. And if anybody changes their mind, we can totally do that. So the toolkit. So I think what we should do is have a subgroup. Oh, Irma, I see you, Irma. You're interested in, is that for awards?
With Joe?
Okay. For the awards piece. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
I can help also if you need.
Geeta, okay. Cool. Okay, so are there folks that want to help think about the toolkit? And that would be include like what sections, maybe help think about the layout and design if we want to make any changes to that. Basically, if you like thinking about documents, graphic design, sort of what that content might be. Anybody interested in that part? I see Jacqueline, was that a you?
Yes.
Okay. IG, okay. Anybody else? I can't see everybody. Oh, is
Just a
that
quick
Carrie?
question, Jamie?
Yeah.
Are you talking about interested in contributing content to the toolkit or interested in laying out and forming the toolkit?
The latter. So I'm going to be harassing all of you for the content. This is more thinking about what are the buckets that are going to be in the toolkit and what do we want? What do we want that information to look like? And then there's a whole separate process where we're beating the bushes to get people to submit things. So right now it's just who wants to like think about the bones of it.
Great, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so I've got Jacqueline, IG, and Carrie. Is there anybody else I missed that?
I think Joe
They're on
Bruno
the
was.
floor.
Sorry, say again.
I was on there.
Just look
Okay,
on the
Joe.
floor.
Anybody else that I'm missing? Okay. And that's something I think we'll probably have a whole separate conversation given our time. Joe, were you trying to say something and I cut you off?
I think I was on that I think I was on there.
Great. Okay. Anybody else for toolkit? All right. Let me just make sure I'm not forgetting categories. Oh, okay. Video. So we also have video and helping plan and think about a panel discussion. So video, is there anybody that, and it would sort of, the idea is you would be helping, I don't know if you know the term storyboard, but you'd sort of be helping us think about what's the story that we want to tell with the video, and then probably, I think we'll probably do it the same way we did last year, where it's actually pretty simple, where you basically have photos and then images, but before that you sort of lay out what's the story you want to tell. So is there anybody, I see Joe, are you still, I want to be mindful of getting overcommitted. I trust you to make your own decisions in your own best interest. I just want to flag this.
I want to be part of the panel discussion, but not so much the video side of things. So
Okay,
whatever
great.
that looks
So we'll
like.
take you off the video. Anybody else want to think about the video? And this is especially like if you like to think about how to tell stories, if you like to think about visual stuff. Okay, I see IG. Is there anybody else I'm missing that I'm not seeing? I see IG.
Hey, Jamie, I
Yeah.
do have some people, I mean, it's certainly not my gift skill, but I would like to pose this to some of our, team that does this and
Great.
say, would you be able to volunteer sometime? So I'd like to get back to you
Great.
on that.
Love it.
Yeah, okay.
Cool.
I will definitely ask and see if anybody would like to join that project from our team at our church.
Awesome.
And get back with you.
And I know you had somebody that helped me last year with the layout of things, and that was great. So yes, if it's not you, if it's somebody you're going to volunteer to do it, great. Or just offer them the opportunity. Okay. Anybody else for video stuff? Okay. And then there's this panel, like sort of thinking about, again, it's thinking about like the bones of a panel of like what the agenda might look like, what are the sort of categories, and then we would think about recruiting speakers. So if there's people that I see Joe is interested in thinking about the panel conversation.
Jamie, I'd like to talk to my rep team to see
Great.
if they'd be interested.
Cool, love it. And this is one definitely where I think the focus has been, and my recommendation is that it should really be focused on amplifying the voice of people with lived experience.
Yes.
So this is like, this is the jam for that project.
Perfect.
So whoever wants to think about that.
My team would fit perfect.
Yes, you would. Awesome. Okay. Anybody else? And the other thing is that I will put out, thanks to Tanya doing a registration for this meeting, right? I think someone had registration. So I have everybody's emails ideally. And so what I will do is as these meetings get set up, I'll just do another quick blast to people to see if you're interested and available. And then let me just talk a real quick minute because I know we're getting kind of towards the end. I just want to show you kind of what the timeline looks like. So we're meeting this week. Yay, check, we did that. One thing I want to flag right now while I have people here, we've got Leslie, we've got Lene, we've got Joe, and I feel like I saw Lindy, but I don't know if I did. Oh, Juno. So the four of you, who of you wants to report back out to the council and sort of lead that, just that quick vote about making decisions about recommendations, just so that I can put your name down and I will work with you behind the scenes. One of the council, oh, Leslie, okay, great. Anybody else from the official council? I see Joe.
I was gonna say, since I don't have to do my presentation, I can jump in. I don't mind.
I'll put you both down.
Time for that day.
I'll work with you guys. Cool,
Yep.
cool.
Yeah, if you need me, I'll. Yep.
Great. Okay, so this train is about to leave the station fast. In part, so what I'm gonna need to do is once we get, the council will meet next week and they will make their official recommendations about what categories of awards they want. I'm gonna pull that committee or that work group together really fast to get those descriptions done so that we can get the nomination forms out, so we can get things back in time for us to all come back together again and review and make a recommendation for the award in time for the October council meeting. This is like, woo, we're gonna start moving. So for those of you that have expressed interest in being part of these work groups, we're going to be hustling over the next couple of weeks because you can see, so October, we're looking at having all the toolkit items due by the first week in October, having the video finished so that we have things ready and done and ready to publish by the end of October. I always think I start early enough planning for this and it's never early enough. I mean, I started thinking about this in June. So just be warned, there's a bunch coming. So we need to reconvene again at the end of September. And especially it will be important to have the official committee members. So Joe, Juno, Leslie, and Lindy, I think are the four official ones. We'll make sure you have to be at that meeting. So expect to see another meeting of all of us at the end of September. And then for those of you that want to work on subgroup stuff, I will be in touch. Let me just see if there's anything else. So this is going to be the end of September. What I will probably do is do a doodle poll to everybody, just in the interest of not trying to make calendar sausage right now. Nobody wants to do that. But I want to leave some time now. That was a whole lot of me talking. I apologize for that. I'm going to work with our council members to have them be more in front this next time. I just wanted to get all this stuff off the ground. Are there big thoughts, concerns, questions, things that people feel like didn't get brought up? Awards, toolkits, video, panel discussion. Oh, the presentation to the Board of Supervisors, that I'll probably work with the committee members on just because that's a very tight and narrow thing. Oh, one thing we forgot. Yeah, IG, go ahead. IG, I can't hear you if you're talking. Oh, okay. Holding.
Sorry.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah, so for the people who have decided to work on those little projects, how are we all going to decide how to meet and do that?
I will facilitate that.
Okay.
So as staff, my role will be to be the kitten wrangler. So I will reach out to all of you and we'll figure out times that will work.
Great.
Yeah, I get that part. Leslie, I see your hand up.
Yep. I am not suggesting we should do this year, given the timeline and everybody's flat out.
Yeah.
And I can't step forward to do it at this point. But I do remember in years past, we did some work with the cities to
Yes.
get their city councils
Oh.
to do proclamations and all such as that. So
Yep.
if that feels like not worth putting our energy into
Yeah.
this year, maybe we can keep it in mind though for future years.
Agreed. So I'm glad you brought that up, Leslie. That was something that we discussed in the first meeting.
Oh, sorry.
And no, it's fine. And I think this is just that awkwardness of like, there was a meeting and then it became official. I think the general consensus was like, it was a really big lift with not necessarily, especially in a year where we don't necessarily have like very clear policy asks. So just to quickly catch everyone else up, in years past, we've done, well, two thoughts. So in years past, we've done not just official talking points, like if you were talking to an elected official, here are sort of the talking points we all are agreeing on to have a unified message. And then we supported people getting onto city council agendas to have them declare November Homelessness Awareness Month. The back end of like getting all of that coordinated was kind of a lot, but what we could do this year, and this is something I think we've done in the toolkit, is put in those talking points so that if people do have an opportunity and they happen to be, or they want to take it upon themselves, that there are some clear talking points. So that's something, the toolkit, I'm just going to add. I'm glad you brought that up. Wayne.
Just a sort of a logistical question around the toolkit. Looking at your agenda and schedule here, you list October first week, the toolkit items due for publishing on the third week of October. The challenge with kind of a chicken and egg challenge, I'm certain BARM is going to want to contribute to that, but we're not, but there needs to be I'm guessing a point where what is put into the toolkit is defined before we can have it due.
Yes. So I will be putting out, I will be trying to coordinate us meeting, whoever's working on the toolkit, meeting next week. And I mean, I can tell you one thing, every year we solicit from all the agencies, everyone in the world, do you have any events or things that you want us to put in our calendar? Especially for agencies, do you have volunteer needs? Especially from agencies, are you having events, like usually around Thanksgiving in non-COVID years, there's like meal events and then donation needs.
Yeah.
So that will definitely happen, and we're going to try and get those out sooner rather than later.
Okay.
One challenge is I know sometimes agencies might not know necessarily in like early October, but we're just going to we're trying to build in enough squish there that we can, you know, the challenge is we want to have everything done actually before November so we can launch the calendar of everything with time for people to plan for the things they want to participate in November.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is that sometime in September we'll have a general idea of what is going into the toolkit. Okay.
I'm hoping next week we can grab that group together and nail that down.
Great. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Totally. I see other questions. Joe, what you got?
Yeah, so last, or I guess it was this month, the meeting that I had with Delta peers, we had a discussion about what it would look like to do some sort of rally around getting people to see the events that we're putting on in November. Like the people who are actually in the shelters, the people who are, you know, unhoused, like they should have that opportunity to see the content of this, of all of this.
Yes.
And we were just talking about how do we, I mean, we were always talking about outreach and community engagement and all of this stuff. So I'm wondering if there was anything that we might want to discuss about how to outreach to folks to get this material to them.
Joe, you're genius. So I think I just, with your thinking, we just created another subgroup, which is communications, which is essentially like, yay, we're doing all this cool stuff. I'm not the master of all the things. I have my thoughts and ideas, but I think there's maybe we come up with a strategy about how to disseminate all this, both with like recruiting for award nominations, but also making sure that all this stuff gets out. So I think we should have a subgroup to talk about that.
All right, count me in.
Okay. I'll also say for all of these, if you're not a joiner, if you don't feel like you have time, but you have thoughts, you can always email me and I'll make sure that information gets to the group. Okay, so for communications, anybody else that wants to think about how to get this messaging out, both providers, those channels are kind of set, but it's kind of like everybody else. It's people with lived experience, it's community groups, it's all that stuff. Anybody else have?
That was a thought that I had too, because Joe, so yay for bringing it up. Sometimes the organizations kind of having a, I don't know, a event in a box kind of a thing to say, this is how you can promote it in your area, whether it be a church or a civic organization, or sometimes we know it's on the web, but as a leader, sometimes it's not like as easy to present it. So the presentation information, I don't know that I have the time, but I would love to just kind of talk with the group to brainstorm some ideas. Because I think that that's really important. We can do all this good work, but if we can't get the message out to the organizations, even that are participating here, you know, there's a lot of beautiful things represented here to show their organizations. So I like that. I like that idea, Joe.
IG, I see your hand up.
Yes, I was just wondering for my own, I guess if there's gonna be a separate meeting to talk about communications, we can talk about it there. But if there's any kind of social media presence, and if that is being utilized.
That's a great question. So what you guys are touching on is, so as the county, so I work for the county, we have Contra Costa Health Services has social media. So there's a communications team that can help us develop, you know, messaging, but they can also help us, like we've done things in the past where we've had like screensavers that go to all Contra Costa Health Services staff. So that's just like one population, but they can also help us develop Facebook posts and post them, Instagram. We can't, as like the Council on Homelessness, we don't have our own social media, and that's just, you know, sort of the county. But we do have health services as a platform, and they can create stuff, and then we could all take it from there and pollinate. You know what I mean? So like we all like Contra Costa Health Services, we get their message they put out for us, and then we can spread it through our networks.
We, my rep team and I, we have a rep Facebook page. I would love to post it on there.
Yes, ma'am. We will help you with that. Oh, Lene, great. Okay, I see Lene saying you can help think about communications. Is that correct? Okay. Love it. We got through way more than I thought we might. This is a beast. Okay, we are at like 2 minutes. I want to check in. How are people doing?
I'm fabulous.
Excellent. This is totally your jam. I know.
I'm excited.
It's my jam too. Excellent. Okay, so expect to have a lot of communication from me, especially some of you more than others. I'm looking at you, Joe. I'm looking at you, IG, for those of you that have volunteered for a lot of stuff. I'm going to be in touch about a meeting at the end of September where we reconvene and check in about all these things.
And I'm Betty. I'm trying to figure out what my niche is so where I can fit in. So I think about it and talk to you.
I was going to say, Betty, I'm happy to have a conversation with you too, if that helps. I know I'm a fast talker. This is a lot of information. Not everybody can process all of this at once. Everybody has different like learning and information styles. I know I'm like a fire hydrant. So if you need to like process for a while and come back and check in with me, I'm happy to go over any of this again. I'm happy to slow down. Yes.
Thank you.
Don't hesitate to reach out.
On that note, Jamie, where do we get the recording of this? Will you put that out there?
Yes, ma'am.
That way, okay, great.
We're gonna post minutes and the recording. Because this is now an official council thing, it's gonna go on our like agenda center area. So yes, we will have all of this.
Thank you.
Hopefully it'll be up by early-ish next week. Anything else?
I'm also trying to figure out where I fit into all this, but I'm excited for continuing on.
Awesome.
A lot of information, but all good information.
Excellent. Yeah, this is a lot. And hopefully when I send out the minutes, like people can digest a little more, and I'll send out invites to our little sub meetings. And if you decide you want to join, that's great. I'm really excited that we had such a big turnout for this. In years past, it's been a pretty small group. So I'm super happy to see everybody here. There's going to be a lot of good stuff that comes out of this. And we have a lot of work ahead of us, but I'm actually really excited. It's fun stuff.
Great meeting.
Thank you. Be free. Have a happy Friday.
I love the content.
You as well.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Happy weekend, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Thanks so much.
Joy.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.